Aw, kitty. She's giving us the look like, kill me now.
Sorry. You're fine.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children? Oh. Won't somebody please think of the children? Somebody please think of the children!
And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly mini-sode where we dig into things that we've been watching recently. I'm Terry.
And reading. And I'm Mary Beth.
Reading.
This week we're chatting about cubs in training. You know what? I don't. That could mean a lot of things with us, and I don't quite know what it is. So I'm excited to find out what kind of cub. A heartbreaking piece of historical fiction, an 80s queer restoration, demon anime, a very twisty thriller, and the actual Final Destination. For now.
For now.
For now. All right, cubs in training. Who?
All right.
Who? What?
All right, so because I'm a masochist, I guess, I signed up for not one but two festivals in June. So I'll be covering Tribeca, which starts in a couple weeks, and then I'm also covering Frameline 47, which is a queer film festival out of San Francisco, I believe is where it's at. And they have like a bajillion movies that are coming out on it, and there's a few that I'd signed up for because there's a few that I really wanted to see. And I was looking through like the list, and I was like, ooh, there's some really good stuff on here. So the first one that I'm going to be talking about most of these throughout June, because I swear there's like 60 on this list. It feels like Fantasia length.
Good Lord.
Of movies. But the first one I want to talk about is a movie called Big Boys, and it is about a 14-year-old chubby boy who is struggling with his sexuality and has sort of like a wake-up moment when he goes on a camping trip with his family. And he goes with his brother who's older than him, thinner than him, cooler than him, and he goes with his cousin, who is played by Dora Madison of Bliss. She's in this.
Oh.
And she plays his like adult cousin, who three of them are going to go on a camping trip, but then Dora Madison's Allie, that's the character's name, is bringing her boyfriend, Dan, new boyfriend, and he is a tall, thick man. He is a tall drink of water. And as they are on this camping trip, we have Jamie, who's the chubby 14-year-old who is socially awkward. He is a nerd. He rats off like the most useless facts about everything. He is obsessed with cooking. He is the exact opposite of his brother. I saw a lot of myself in that character as sort of this like socially awkward guy that, you know, doesn't want to be seen but then also wants to be seen at the same time. And so he and his brother Will are both kind of fighting for Dan, the new boyfriend, Allie's boyfriend's, his attention in different ways. Will, because of like the kind of macho, he's like an older guy and he wants to, you know, feel like he's an adult. And Jamie, because he starts to see an attraction there, that he is like, ooh, I like this guy.
Oh, okay.
And so it is about this weekend trip where he basically is grappling with feelings of being queer and feelings of being interested in bigger guys. And it's something that we don't see a whole lot on. I mean, it's a chubby kid, this older guy, he's not fat, but he's thick. He is thick, and he just is, it was so refreshing watching this, and it brought me back to like being my own little chubby 14-year-old self that was sort of awkward around other guys and wanted everything to be just like the kind of self-contained, because he's very angry at first that his cousin is bringing a boyfriend on it, because he's like, this was the three of us, and you could tell that he doesn't feel comfortable around other people. And then once he finds out that Dan is this hunk of dude, it becomes like this weird internal struggle for him. And it's a very awkward there's a little bit of cringe comedy in it, but it feels very authentic to the experience of being a fat queer kid that doesn't get a lot of representation in movies or in anything. So I think this was a really fun movie. It's a little slow in spots, but it's really good, and it's really cool to see this kind of representation on screen. So that's the first one.
What's it called
Big
again?
Boys. Big Boys. Not to be confused with Big Boys, the television show, which is apparently a TV show out of the UK that is also a queer story. But yeah, good movie.
Cool.
Really
That
enjoyed
sounds
it.
awesome. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and I think I started off the fest on like a high note with that one, and another one I'm going to talk about probably next week. But yeah, it's good so far. I'm really excited to be covering something that's not horror for once.
Hell yeah.
Weird feeling.
That's awesome. Yeah. Cool.
I think going in a completely different direction, but let's talk about the heartbreaking piece of historical horror fiction.
Yeah, that's very much the opposite direction. So I have been reading again. I have been like actually devouring books recently, which is nice.
Hell yeah.
Haven't done that in a bit. So the story behind this is very funny. So the book I read, it's a novella. It's actually a novella. It's only 94 pages, but it's called Helpmeet by Nabin Rothnam. And it is 94 pages. It's from last year, and it is the story of a woman named Louise who is taking care of her dying husband, and she moves him from their apartment in Manhattan to their orchard upstate for him to kind of die. And it is about what happened to him, and also like the dynamics of their relationship, and like the love they have, this like really interesting love they have for each other while his body is also falling apart, and like why that happened. And it's this like beautifully written novella that I had heard of it. I heard of it actually on TikTok, and I was really interested in it, and I got it on my Kindle, and I was reading it on my phone going to a concert on Friday. And I went to the concert by myself, and I ended up fucking reading that novella, like, waiting for the I was reading a goddamn book, like, waiting for this concert to start, because I was by myself. Like, I didn't have anyone to talk to, so I was just reading this fucking book, and I couldn't stop fucking reading it. It's so good. It is this, the prose is gorgeous. It's, like, very much, like, kind of a little stilted, a little bit emotionless, but not really. It's just, like, very structured, and the descriptions of these like horrors happening to this guy's body are written so clinically, so it's not as sensational, but it's just like very clinical and detached, but also like these warmth, like, these kind of emotional warm spots come through, and it just is really quite beautiful and really quite sad in what it is and how it ends, and it's just really fucking fascinating and really awesome. And Rothnam accomplishes quite a lot in 94 pages, and I could have read so much more, but I think it makes sense that it's shorter. It's beautiful. So if you're looking for something short and quick to read, I would really recommend this novella. It's incredible.
Yeah, I saw you tweet about it, and I added it to my list immediately, so I'm really excited it was good.
Yeah. It's like it's cosmic body horror, and it's done in a really, really cool way, and I love it. So I've discovered that I really like novellas because they're just long enough that like you get really invested, but they're not like a long investment either. So I've been reading some more horror novellas, and I think that's been really nice, getting me like easing me back into reading.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Fucking gorgeous writing. Yeah,
I
unconventional
love
love
that.
story, I'll say.
I feel like a lot of times writing is good, but like there are times where I want to get lost in someone's prose, and from what you're saying, it seems like this is one of those books that like the prose is just on point. Because I think there's an art to writing that, yes, there are people that can just write a story and we can get, all the good plot points and it's exciting to read or whatever, but there are times where there are books that the writer has like this prose and it just immediately draws you in. And I love
that's
that.
exactly what this is. Like, as soon as I started reading it, I was like, I'm hooked. Like,
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm obsessed with this. Like, the way that he casually describes, like, a guy scraping off his nose. Like, it's incredible how he describes it. It's just, it's something special. So I highly recommend. It's a very short investment of your time, too, so it's not. But, yeah, it's weird. It's good. And I want more historical fiction, horror fiction, I think. So if anyone has any recommendations of historical horror fiction to read, let me know. I'm on the lookout.
Hell yeah.
I think we're gonna also swing in the opposite direction again to an 80s queer restoration.
Yeah, so I got the opportunity to check out The Wounded Man, which is a French film that was filmed in 1982, released in 1983, so on the cusp of like when AIDS was becoming a big thing. And it's a French film about this young man named Henri, I think, and his parents and him are going to a train station to see off his sister, who's going to Frankfurt to study for some time, and they arrive really early. The train is delayed, so they're just sitting there, and he kind of makes eye contact with this much older man who's very portly and is like just leeringly eyeing at him. And then he takes off and just walks through the station, and it's like this almost like cat and mouse game where the cat and the mouse changes between him and this older guy as they're like following each other, and you don't quite know what's going on. Is it flirtation? Is it something more sinister? What is really happening here? And while this is all happening, he runs into a hustler, a pimp named Jean, who is like, he has a crooked smile and has like intense eyes, and he just exudes sexuality. And Henri finds himself like attracted to this man, and the rest of the movie is sort of him exploring this underworld of this train station where Henri and his other hustlers sort of work, and him kind of exploring the edge of, does he want to fuck this guy or does he want to fight him? Like there's that kind of internal internal thing, and it's about like ideas of masculinity as well as this obsessive desire that everyone in this movie seems to have that is unfulfilled, and where that can kind of take you. And it's not a I was thinking about this because, and I have a review out there if you want to read more about it. It's probably a lot better than me talking about it because there's just so much going on with it. But I wrote a review about it, and what I think is interesting is that a lot of the talks that we've had, we even had this discussion both with Eric LaRocca and also why am I drawing a blank? Sophia Ashram. About kind of messy queers and not being necessarily focused on the positive like representation, because the queerness in this is dirty, it's grotty, it's a little unrefined, it's kind of a mix of sex and violence, and so it's not exactly like a happy portrayal, but it's an interesting one, and it's written and directed by gay men. Two gay men wrote it, gay director. And it's interesting to see this sort of like this film that was from 1983 kind of grappling with homosexual desire in such an interesting way. So that is out from Vinegar Syndrome. It got released this week. It's under the Altered Innocence label that they published. Knife and Heart. They publish a lot of coming of age, a lot of queer stuff. And it's a really good restoration, and it's a really interesting look at it at a time in queer history. So I really recommend it.
Hell yeah. Okay. Altered Innocence rules. They put out some really awesome queer stuff.
They sure do. Yeah.
I think I saw you talking about this, and I saw people talking about it when it came out, or like when Vinegar Syndrome was releasing it initially.
Yeah, because I think
So
it
I
played
will
in
need to
movie
check this
theaters
out.
too. I think they took it to theaters
Yeah.
before
Okay.
it was coming out. But
Cool.
yeah, it's really good. I really recommend it. I know Vinegar Syndrome site is down as of while we're recording this because they're doing
Yeah.
their halfway to Black Friday sale. But
Yeah.
when it comes back up, I really recommend, if you are interested in the history of queer cinema, this is one I definitely think you should add to your list. And it's beautiful. It's
Hell
really
yeah.
nicely restored.
Perfect.
Demon anime.
I think I might have talked about this before on the podcast. Demon Slayer. Have I ever talked about Demon Slayer?
I think
On the
so.
pod? Yeah, because there was the movie Mugen Train, but it's the new season. I haven't watched a lot of stuff I can talk about yet, again, which is annoying, and so I'm like pulling from the stuff that I am watching it and I have been enjoying. But the new season, we are like, I think it's like halfway through the new season of Demon Slayer, and like just when I think the show can't get any more dark and like bloody, it just continues to get bloody. So just like TLDR about what the show is, if people can't remember or you're a new listener, Demon Slayer follows this kid Tanjiro, who is a terrible tragedy befalls his family. They're all killed except for his sister, who is transformed into a demon, and he then, through a series of events, trains to become a demon slayer. And he is basically fighting scary ass demons who want to cause nothing but pain and harm to people.
As you do.
And his goal is to fight like the upper rank demons. They're the really powerful ones that are like really hard to beat, and humans usually cannot defeat them. And this arc is called the Swordsmith Village arc, and sometimes like the show will kind of ease you into everything, but this season was just like off to the races. Like immediately, like things start happening, bad shit starts happening to people, and it's because there's just like a lot of bad shit happening, and everyone is just getting their ass completely beat to shreds. And I just the show is so beautiful. Like it's so beautifully animated because it takes place in 1900 Japan, so it's like historical, but it's not like super far in the past, like Hell's Paradise, the other one I've talked about recently. So it's at this like really interesting period in Japan where there's like, you know, like modernization of Japan, and there's just like, it's really interesting and beautiful to watch. The animation is beautiful, and I like this arc because the characters that annoy me are not in this arc, so it's just my favorite characters kicking ass, and it's really cool because they're not the annoying kind of like anime tropey characters. Like for comedic relief, we don't really have that in this arc, and I like that because sometimes the comedic relief characters are really fucking annoying to me when I watch anime, so it's been nice to get like a lot less of that. Like yeah, so I just am very much enjoying that show. And so that's another horror anime that is a little bit more like, I feel like Hell's Paradise is a little bit scarier, I guess, but they're both horror, they're both gross, but like Demon Slayer has like a much bigger fan base. It's a little bit more like, I'm proud and I will fight for my friends type of anime, rather than like a fuck everyone, I'm fighting for myself type anime.
Gotcha.
So it's like wholesome isn't quite the word, but like I guess that might be the right word for it, just because Tanjiro is a very sweet, wholesome boy who I would like to protect from all danger, but instead he keeps getting his ass kicked by giant demons. So yeah, that's Demon Slayer, Swordsmith Village arc. If any of you like Demon Slayer, let me know.
Is it on Crunchyroll or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on. Yeah, I think it's only on Crunchyroll. I can't remember. I only watch it on Crunchyroll. Like I watch the new episodes as they come onto Crunchyroll. That's usually where they all like simulcast with Japan. So that's where I watch it. I don't think we pay for it. We just like have the free version. I think Steve has control of that one. I just like watching the pictures move.
Watch the pictures move.
But like Demon Slayer is another one of those anime that is like It's really good. It's a good starter anime because it's like, especially if you like horror, because it's like it doesn't hold back, but it's also like it's not like super like it's got the glimmers of like a shonen kind of like Dragon Ball Z, like I'm the best fighter, but less of that and a little bit more grounded. But there's also horror elements to it. So
Okay.
if you're looking for another starter anime, that's a good one. And it's like so fucking popular. The fucking movie Mugen Train made like billions of dollars in Japan. Like this fucking series is so popular. So, but yeah, this arc is very good.
Hell yeah.
Anime.
Gotta love
I
it.
love it. All right, a very twisty thriller.
Yes.
What is it?
That's a good question. What is it? Um,
That's the twisty thriller. Is Takari not remembering what he brought?
so I believe it is out as of the drop of this episode. I believe it's out this Friday. It's Influencer, and it is a movie that is directed by Curtis David Harder, who also directed the queer thriller from that's also on Shudder called Spiral, not the Saw movie, but Spiral from like where the characters are in like the 1990s. So he directed that. He also is like there's like this group of Canadian filmmakers that that are all like produce and direct things. Like it includes like What Keeps You Alive. He was a producer on. He's a producer on Harpoon, on Z, on Superhost, on VHS 94. So he's a producer and he also directs some movies. And Influencer is, and I don't use this word lightly, it is truly a Hitchcockian thriller. And if I were to tell you the Hitchcockian thriller that this one is very reminiscent of in terms of plot structure, not necessarily the characters, but just the way the plot unfolds, it would spoil the movie. And it's one of those movies that you don't want to know much going in, so I would recommend not looking at any reviews, not watching any trailers. This is we're just gonna give you the basic plot synopsis, which is about this American influencer who has gone to Thailand on her kind of boyfriend / maybe manager's dime, and it opens up with her like on the beach filming herself like, oh, it's so nice around here. And what's interesting is that the camera's pulled back and you see that she's all alone, and you see sort of like the lonely like life that she's leading at this place, because she was supposed to go with her boyfriend didn't go at the last minute. She's kind of thinking about breaking up with him, and she's kind of having a rough time in the real world as opposed to what she is showing her fans. And she loses her passport. She's stuck in Thailand. She meets a couple people, and it just goes from there. And I don't want to say anything else. Like, I really would like to tell you more about it, but I also don't want to spoil the joys that this thing is like pulling the rug out and making things complicated in a lot of different ways. But that's the basic gist of it. And I know you've seen it too, Mary Beth.
Yeah, I also was really surprised by it. Like, it's definitely one of those movies that is like great to just go in without knowing anything. I don't think the trailer gives away too much. I think they edited a good enough trailer that it doesn't portray anything. And I was genuinely surprised. I mean, like, you know, it's one of those movies that kind of comes from Shudder, and you're like, oh, and it's kind of, maybe it'll be great. But I was really impressed with how it's written and how it's structured. Rob Grant, friend of the pod from Harpoon, helped edit it, actually. Mm-hmm. Cassandra Naud, who plays a character in this, is a fucking star. So I'm excited for everyone to see her. This is her first feature film, and she is like a bad bitch. So I'm excited for everyone to see her performance. Yeah, it's hard to talk about this movie without spoiling anything. So just watch it. It's an hour and 30 minutes. It'll be on Shudder on Friday. It's well worth the watch. It's a good like sit down movie night movie. It's real good. And it's a really good influencer movie that doesn't make influencers totally idiots.
No.
It looks at influencers from like
humanizes them.
a multi-dimensional perspective. They're not just like, I'm in my phone and I'm like all vapid and dumb. Like, we get it. We've seen that a million times. So it takes a little more of a nuanced approach to that, how it is a career, like thinking at it as a job and a career, and not just making fun of people, but like showing how it is a job and how it can become exhausting like any job.
Yep.
And I think they do a really interesting job with that. It's definitely a perspective on influencers we haven't seen yet, and I'm excited about that because it's taking them a little bit more seriously and not just mining it for like the usual
jokes,
influencer like jokes and influencer stuff we've seen over and over again. So yeah, check it out.
So I highly
And
recommend.
we may or may not
watch it
have
this
something
weekend.
coming up about it.
We might.
So we might. Who knows? I don't know. Not me. Never. Would never know anything about that.
So that's another reason maybe to watch it this weekend when it comes out, is that there might be something down the pike.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's all we can really say about it. If you like Spiral, if you like the movies that I think I don't know if they're a collective or what, or if they're just a group of friends, but if you like the kind of movies that they make.
I asked him when sorry.
No, go ahead.
I interviewed him for Dread Central, and I was like a collective? He's like, yeah, just a group of us who all like making movies together. And he was like, it's like a collective-ish, but they don't have like an official name. They're not like a named thing. They're just like a bunch of dudes who like to make indie movies with each other.
Yeah. But I think if you like Spiral, and if you liked the movies that kind of team is putting out, this is really in their wheelhouse. But I will say it is probably the most twisty of theirs that I've seen. I just really enjoyed it. Surprised the hell out of me. Yeah. All right.
And we've arrived now at the final at the moment destination.
What did you think?
Well, the ending really saved it for me, I will say.
Oh,
it's
okay.
definitely way better than 4. Way better than 4. Like, from a lot of perspectives of, like, the characters actually have, like, some kind of dimension, and, like, there's a storyline there. I just, the acting in all of these movies is so bad, and I know that it is not about the acting, but it is distracting sometimes, and I'm like, is this how you speak to a loved one, like your boyfriend? I don't know. So it just always throws me off, and I know we are here not for that, but it throws me off. The deaths in this were incredible. Like the gymnastics death and Kate Ice, that was insane. I was like, I cannot stand this. Can she just die? Like I am so fucking tense. That goddamn fucking screw pointing upwards. One, how did no one see that? Like, I thought, like, weren't there be, like, safety tests, like, every time to, like, make sure it's wiped off and make sure there's nothing on there? Like, that just seems like gross negligence to me, but, like, whatever. But it definitely had more, like, personality to it and was, like, getting back to what the Final Destination, like, franchise, like, humor and kind of, like, cheekiness is about. Definitely has some, like, cringy, like, early 2010s, like, language and behavior. Cannot avoid that, unfortunately. But I think the ending is ballsy. Like, both endings. The ending where they're fighting in the kitchen and then the actual ending with the big reveal is just, like, so different. And I love that. I think, like, it follows the pattern, but deviates in some important ways that I think really helps it stand out and make it definitely feel way better than the fourth. Like, getting back away from the fourth one where you're like, did they watch a Final Destination? Like, they watched a Final Destination movie for sure.
They directed and wrote a Final Destination.
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't understand. I know. When I was editing last week's, I was dying. I was like, how does this happen? But yeah, the kills in this one are fucking gnarly. Like the the LASIK scene. I'm already terrified of LASIK, and this is now making me even more terrified of LASIK. What the fuck? God damn it. Always a doctor's office. They really goddamn love those electrical wires and like the water coolers and stuff splashing on wires though.
They sure
love
do.
that. And they love that. They really do. And they love a good close up of the water on the outlet and then panning up the wire. And oh, and the acupuncture scene.
The acupuncture scene. What a dick. What an absolute dick, too. But, like, him falling on the needles, yes, it kills me too, Tony. Him falling on the needles is like, oh, you can feel it. And then when he's, like, pulling him out, it's like, ooh, yeah. No, that would not be fun.
That actor always plays douchebags.
Does he? He looked familiar, but I'm not sure what he's been in.
He's like kind of like a character. I don't know his name. He plays a character actor. He's a character actor. I think he's in Succession. I think he's in Succession.
He's in The Boys.
The Boys. That's what he's in. He's in The Boys as like the film director. He's like the Marvel. He like basically is like the stand-in Marvel guy, who is like making all of those like movies about the scary superheroes. I mean, I'm glad they made this and didn't end it on the note of the fourth one. Is my ultimate thought.
I actually really like this one.
Okay.
I love that the opening is back to big spectacle. Like it feels more weighty than a race car track or like a roller coaster.
Roller coaster?
Yeah, this feels like more in line with a big airplane accident or like an accident on a highway. Like this opening is epic. It has some really creative deaths, I think. I love that. I love the kills in it. I think the characters are fun. I think there's more character in it. I do think that the one guy, the kind of douche guy that ends up like trying to go on a killing spree, Peter, I think is his name. I love that he looks like Dave Franco and Tom Cruise just fucked and produced him. He feels like a clone of them. Yes, I'm sure he does do Tom Cruise deepfakes now because he fucking looks like Tom Cruise, and he looks like he has the eyebrows of.
He does. He has the eyebrows.
Yeah, it's wild.
Well,
but
I did.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I said I love the idea of him being like a serial killer and associated with Final Destination. I didn't go there, but I was really excited that we were about to go there. I was like, that is so cool! Like a serial killer. That was just neato burrito. And
it was really cool to have like a human stake in the ending, sort of like there's a human side of it where he is trying to cheat death by killing them. Like I think that was a fantastic little twist to it. I think I realized why the fourth one also sucks, because it's the only one of these 5 movies where Tony Todd is not in it.
Oh, that's right.
Tony Todd.
Bring him back.
And it was really kind of fun watching this on a rewatch because, like, when I first saw this, I did not clock that they were talking a lot of 90s stuff. I thought, well, that's kind of
neither did I.
It's like when they're comparing someone to Lisa Loeb, or they're like the music that they're listening to was like 90s rock music. They have these really weird ass, like big ass phones from like the late 90s, early 2000s. Totally didn't clock that. I just thought that the references were dated when I first saw that. And now as I'm watching this again, I was like, oh, they were... I mean, they even say he's going to Paris. And I'm like, I should have realized.
I know. It was incredible. It's that incredible moment where I was like, wait, how did I not put those pieces together? Like, I didn't clock any of that. And it's incredible. Like, they're so sneaky about it. And it's so smart. I love it.
Yeah. We do love a stealth prequel. Yes, we do.
Oh, I love it. And like they just killed our two people immediately, like in cruel ways too. It's not just like a quick death. It's like, oh my god, wow.
Human stakes.
Yeah, and I definitely respected the big swing at the end, and like the gymnastic death is so sudden too, because that one is wild. Because it's just like. It's so weird, and like it's like nothing crushes her. It's like she just falls off. It's like the way she falls off. It's like it's so different, And yeah, exactly. Like so many options, Kate, and it turns out to be none of them. And she just like fucking folds like a piece of paper. It's like it's so sudden. I
It's so
gasped and
sudden.
grabbed my face. Like I grabbed my face. So it's like I can give this movie shit for like acting, but they know how to get under your skin and like really give you something that's gonna shock you, which I suppose is what these movies are. But still, like, you know.
Plus, it has cutie patootie Nicholas DeGosto as the main character, and he is so cute. And he was from Omaha. He was born and raised in Omaha,
Aww,
and he was cutie.
woman Western boy.
I like him.
I like that he was he had a night job as a chef, as if that was like a humanly possible thing to do. I was like, the bridge premonition. I was like, and this is really funny. I'm glad you brought that up, Tony, about the bridge premonition, because I talked about Mothman and the Mothman prophecies today in another podcast recording this afternoon, and and Mothman was the one who brought the omen that the bridge in Point Pleasant was going to collapse, and then it did. So I was like, that's a very weird synchronicity of today. Of
Yeah, it is.
That. So, Mothman. This is a Mothman movie, actually. Is what I'm gonna claim it as. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
Stealth Mothman movie.
Stealth prequel, stealth Mothman. It's stealth everything. Stealth good. So okay, so we've seen all 5 of them now. How would you rank them?
I knew you were gonna ask me this, so I was like trying to prepare, and I think I have my answer. So
Okay.
I think, fucking god damn it, I think. All right, I'm just gonna have to commit to this. All right, I think it's.
Stakes are so high.
I know. I think it's 2, 1, 5, 3, 4.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
I have like so much nostalgia for the first one, so it's hard for me to not rank it as number 1 because
That's
like
fair.
for me it's the one that like scarred me right before I was going to go on a big flight.
Yeah.
It just
That makes
has
sense.
it really terrified me in the movie theater. Like this was one of those movies where I was the perfect age to see it. I was seeing the movie theater. I was in a great audience for it. So I have like so much nostalgia for it. So for me, it's 1, and then I can't decide if I like 2 or 5 more. I think I like 2 more because I think it's a dark comedy and it makes me laugh a whole lot. And so I think 2 is slightly above 5. But I think the ending of 5 is just stellar. So I think it's 1, 2, 5, 3, and then we just don't talk about 4. It's Bruno. We don't talk about it.
Incredible. Wow, Tony's favorite is 3.
Okay. 3, 2.
Wow, Final
5,
Destination.
1.
Wow.
All right. Hey.
I mean, like, props to them though for making a pretty consistent franchise that, like, regardless of acting and stuff, there's still some really good kills for the most part. You know what I mean? Like, they nailed the formula, and I think what they do really well is they don't necessarily try to like make it. They don't try that hard to make like more lore. You know what I mean? Like they don't try to complicate it with like how slashers do. I think like they tried maybe a bit to do that, and then they're kind of like, fuck that, and then it's just kind of like the same thing. And I kind of respect that though. You know what I mean? Of just being like, respect. Like you're just gonna kind of follow the formula and not try to add like death as a monster and like make it super weird. I can respect that.
Oh yeah. All right, so for Little Cuts for the next like few weeks, I don't think we're going to be watching anything on top of what we normally watch because like I said, I'm going to be covering Tribeca and Frameline, and I just don't know if I'm going to have enough time to devote to another movie for us to talk about. But so in the meantime, we do want some suggestions from people about what Mary Beth and I can watch together and talk about on Little Cuts. So come up with some suggestions for us, and we'll try to see Los Spookies. Yes, that might be a good one to do. Oh,
Hey
August
Tony,
Underground.
fuck you. Absolutely
No.
the fuck not. I'm not doing that to
No.
myself.
I am not watching the August Underground series.
I'm good. I'm Gucci.
Tony, I'm a good
Oh
person.
my god.
I mean, I guess it's payback because you did read Guts after I talked about it last week.
Those are not comparable. No. Yeah. Hey, we warned, or tried to warn, about
But
Guts.
who are we? Okay, so who are we talking to on Monday, Mary Beth?
So on Monday, oh, hold on. Excuse me. I'm not editing that out. So on Monday, this is super exciting. We are talking with Matt Angel and Suzanne Coote, the filmmaking duo behind The Wrath of Becky, which is now playing in theaters. And they brought with them a mini discussion of Scream and a full discussion of Rosemary's Baby. And they know so much about Rosemary's Baby. It was such a treat because it's like a really cool discussion and them sharing like about Polanski. I'm talking about that, don't worry, but just like about a lot of things around this movie, and it's a really cool conversation. I learned so much in watching in this episode, so that'll be on Monday.
Adorable.
And Wrath of Becky, they're really cute. Wrath of Becky is really fun, so if you liked Becky, you'll like Wrath of Becky. Like Lulu Wilson's a bad bitch with a dog and a bunch of guns. Like it's fun. It's a good time. Sean William Scott plays a Nazi. Yeah. So yeah. On that note, everybody. Oh, hey, when are we getting that? Shut up. Look, I'm tired. Tara's tired. We both have too much to do at all times.
It's on the
schedule. I forgot it was almost June. My birthday's in a couple of days.
I know.
I forgot my birthday was here, and my birthday's at the end of May. What in the ass? It is still happening.
It is still happening. I promise. It's like this month. I cannot believe next week is the end of the month. Which is happening.
I know. Sorry. Misa just ran in and started yelling. It was like, yeah. So it's happening. We just need to not have everything happening at once all the time forever. Hi, Schmo. But listeners, you've heard from us. We want to hear from you. Did you watch something that we watched this week or read something that we read this week and have thoughts? Do you have suggestions for what our next series should be or what movies we should be talking about? Send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us directly on Twitter. I am at MB McAndrews.
And I'm McKaylee Dreadful.
And don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter at Scarred Podcast. There she is.
Please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe, and help support us through Patreon, where you will, I promise, get a Scream 6 bonus episode. And you could be listening to Fresh Wounds. We have a new one coming up that we're really excited to talk about. So,
yeah,
come support us.
Yeah. Thank you to Eric Power for artwork by Attack of the Demons on Vinegar Syndrome as part of their Black Friday sale since the site is back up. Listen to our commentary track. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. Thank you everyone for listening. Please stay safe out there, but most importantly, stay creepy.
And until next time.